Few events in history have generated as much interest, rumor, and speculation as the famous UFO encounter in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Back in the 1940s, long before Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, New Mexico was one of the most secretive and highly guarded areas in the world due to the atomic research and military activity taking place in the region. Roswell was home to the 509th Bomb Group, an elite military unit responsible for the housing and deployment of nuclear weapons. Some believe these weapons attracted extraterrestrial attention, leading to a surge of UFO sightings during this time. While there is still much debate on the specifics of the Roswell encounter, what is known is that on the evening of July 3, 1947, during an intense lightning storm, something or some things crashed into the barren desert north of Roswell. The following morning, ranch foreman Mac Brazel and his young ranch hand Dee Proctor were working on Corona Ranch about 75 miles north of the city and noticed strange metallic debris covering a massive area, estimated to be about 3/4 of a mile long, with a width of about 250 yards. This debris has been described by dozens of witnesses as having otherworldly characteristics. For example, the debris included weightless yet unbendable metal, as well as foil-like materials that could be balled up and when released would return to its original form. Mac's sheep would not go anywhere near the debris, and it was interfering with his obligations at the ranch. So on July 6, he decided to make the trip down to the Roswell Sheriff's Office with samples of the debris. From there, it was suggested that Mac contact the Roswell Army Air Force, or RAF, which he did. After examining the debris, it was evident RAF was taking the issue seriously, as Mac would be accompanied back to the debris field on July 7th with the head of the Counterintelligence Corps, Captain Sheridan Cavett, and the head of intelligence, Major Jesse Marcel. They would spend the entire day cleaning the debris, but according to first-hand witnesses, a large portion of the debris field remained. It was not until July 8th that RAF would block off the entire area north of Roswell and begin a significant cleanup operation. On that same day, RAF would provide a public press release to all news and radio stations that it had recovered a flying disc, which led to the banner headline seen around the world: RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. Within 24 hours of the press release, RAF took back its statement and offered its second explanation, saying the event was nothing more than a crashed weather balloon. From there, the military launched a harsh campaign to silence witnesses and seize all evidence. Around this time, Mac planned to tell a story to a local radio station when he was kidnapped and detained by the military for over 4 days. The FCC's executive director contacted the radio station owner, directing the station to either suppress the story or face the consequences of losing its broadcasting license. Following Mac's release, he changed his story to corroborate RAF's weather balloon story. He then bought a brand new truck and quit his job to start his own business, never speaking of the events publicly again. The government's cover-up was remarkably successful due to limited technology at the time. As a result, the event was largely forgotten until 1978, when Major Jesse Marcel came forward and disclosed that the recovered craft was not of this earth. This revelation prompted numerous other witnesses to come forward, including Walter Haut, the man responsible for releasing the original RAF flying disc press release, Glenn Dennis, a mortician who claimed to witness an alien autopsy, and a significant number of other civilians who claimed to have been threatened into silence by the military. All of the new witnesses prompted researchers to embark on a mission to uncover any information that had been concealed by the government. This was difficult, as the vast majority of RAF records from that time period had gone missing, so we are left primarily with witness statements. These statements have led many investigators to speculate that there was more than one crash site, and potentially more than one crashed UFO. Specifically in 1994, after years of silence, Dee Proctor showed investigators a second crash site a few miles from the debris field, where he claims to have seen alien bodies. This second site was independently corroborated by other witnesses. Some researchers believe that, if it was one UFO, a portion of the craft remained airborne from the second crash site and continued southeast for another 30 miles before crashing at the third and final impact area. Years later, the daughter of a firefighter and first responder to the third crash site gave this amazing interview.
He started telling us that they had gone on a call of what they thought was going to be a plane crash north of Roswell. And he said they got called out to Blackwater Draw. And when they got out there, what they saw was not a plane that was our plane, but he said it was a flying craft from somewhere else. Well, we didn't ask questions, but Mother asked all the questions, and we were just listening, and she started, what do you mean somewhere else? And he said, it's not an airplane. He said, it's not from this world. And he said it was one of the flying saucers crashed. And I don't think really Mother believed him at first, and he said, no, he said, I mean it. And he said when they got there, they could see that there were two bodies that were laying on the ground outside of this craft, and that there was one, what he called little person. And he said there's one little person that was walking around, and he said they were still alive.
I have included a link to the full interview in the description. As you can imagine, all of this new information captivated people around the world, and many concluded that this was indeed something extraterrestrial. With growing public interest, there were increasing demands for the government to clarify its stance. In response in 1994, the Airforce provided its third explanation of the incident, admitting that it had lied in 1947, but asserting this time that the object was a high-flying multi-balloon object belonging to a covert project known as Project Mogul. Then, in 1997, the Air Force presented its fourth and most ridiculous explanation to address the eyewitness accounts regarding alien bodies. This explanation, known as the dummy explanation, all pun intended, suggests that stories of alien bodies originated from civilian witnesses who had actually observed crash test dummies and plane crash victims from the 1950s, and consolidated those memories with their memories of the 1947 Roswell events. The Roswell incident remains an enduring mystery that has captivated the collective imagination of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike. Despite numerous explanations offered, none have fully satisfied public curiosity or resolved all conflicting details. While the events of the Roswell encounter are still heavily debated, the impact the events had on the town of Roswell is undeniable. More than 70 years later, the community still hosts an annual UFO festival and is home to a UFO museum and research center, streetlights with alien designs, and a flying saucer McDonald's. This video only gives a brief overview of all the amazing information that exists related to the Roswell encounter. We plan to cover different aspects of this event in more detail soon. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our video on the 1933 UFO crash that set the stage for Roswell. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.